Hello, I'm Silvina Magali Blanco. Today I'm talking about the neurolinguistic different topic related with my partner Maria Luz Avila. So, what is the neurolinguistic? Neurolinguistic is a study of the actual encoding and decoding of the language in the brain. It involves what parts of the brain and different aspects of the language are stored in, or how language is actually stored or what's on physically in the brain when the language is processed, or how the brain compensates when certain areas are damaged. So the neurolinguistic is a study of the relationship of the language in the brain. Now, how is the neurolinguistic related to the linguistic? Neurolinguistic is the science of a study of the language, but it has several subfields. One of them is neurolinguistic. Linguistic study the language, and neurolinguistic study the language in the brain. What part form the brain, the human brain? The human brain is composed of cerebrum, cerebral cortex, cerebellum, and brain stem. Cerebellum is the large part of the brain and is composed of the right and left hemisphere. The cerebral cortex is covered, we can see in the picture, cover the cerebrum and has many folds. It has four principal lobes: the frontal lobes, the temporal lobes, the occipital lobes, and parietal lobe. The cerebellum is located under the cerebrum. Its function to coordinate the muscle movements, maintain the posture, and balance. So, the brainstem acts as a relay center connecting to the cerebrum and cerebellum to the spinal cord. It is very important because in each hemisphere of the cerebrum can also divide into the region called lobes, which includes the frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital lobes. The lobes located in the front, we can see in the picture, the lobe located in the front and side of the brain. The front lobes and the temporal lobes are primarily involved in the speech formation and understanding. Why in the frontal, the Broca area is located in the Broca area is located in the front part of the left hemisphere of the brain. It is involved the production and articulation of the speech sound. The wrinkle area is located in the temporal lobe, just behind of the ears here. You can see in the picture, it involves understanding the speech. The motor cortex is located in the frontal lobes. It controls the movement of the muscle, and arcuate fasciculus connect the wrinkle areas with the Broca areas. So we say the brain have two hemispheres, the right and left. What is the most important or dominant? The both are important and dominant. Why? Because the left hemisphere of the brain is responsible for the language and speech, is the dominant hemisphere for the language processing. However, the right hemisphere play a large part in interpreting visual information and all auditory signals. So we can describe the language process. How occurs the language process? Well, first, in this picture, we can see the broca in the left, the wernicke in the right. The word is here and comprehending via the wernicke area. We hear the word and perceive the signals. This signal is then transferred via auditory fasciculus to the Broca area, where preparations are made to produce it. So we can see in the picture, receive the word, how say, silent speech, when was heard, then reflection what to say, then a signal is sent to the motor cortex to physically articulate the word. What to say, how to say, and then the signal is sent to the vocal cords. Okay, the language process is more important during the childhood up to the puberty, because during this time or period, the human brain is most ready to receive input and learn a particular language. This is sometimes called the sensitive period for the language acquisition or critical period. Here, the phenomenon of lateralization record importance because the left hemisphere's dominance in the language acquisition process. The language acquisition period depends on the left hemisphere's development. We mentioned our brain have two hemispheres, left and right hemisphere, so we know what part is more dominant in us. A test. This test is a technique for finding which hemisphere is more dominant in language process in a person. It depends on the sensory input by the brain. This is the decodic listening test, and my partner Maria Luz Avila to talk more about this test, the different problem or mistake occur at the moment produce or encoding and decoding the language.
As Silvina said, I will explain about the dichotic listening system that consists in a technique that use the inputs in each ear and analyze the answer in the brain. This technique is used to analyze the function of the brain and lateralization. Another thing that we have to consider related to language are the disorders or problems that occurs related to damage in the brain or only mistakes that the person can produce one phenomenon or problem is the tip of the tongue. Is when the person can recall a word. For example, I have this word in the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember that. The person knows the context or the meaning of the word, but he or she can't pronounce it. Another phenomenon is malappropriation. Is when the person says a word with similar pronunciation but different meaning. For example, in this picture, the lady have to say uh, pineapple, but she says pineapple. And another mistake or phenomenon is the split of the tongue or spoonerism for Walter Spooner. In this case, the person uh, omit or change the sound of the two initial sounds of the words. For example, the person pronounce the flock of bats instead of a block of flats. The last mistake is the slip of the ear. Is when the hearer change the word that is pronounced because he can't catch all the phrase and he understands another word. For example, red tape and great tape. And what is aphasia? Aphasia is a linguistic disorder related to brain injury. According to the area or a specific part of the brain that is damaged, we have three types of aphasia. Broca's aphasia, the damage is in the Broca's area and is characterized by a reduce of amount of speech. Patients have problem with articulating single words. In Wernicke's aphasia, the damage is located in the Wernicke's area. People that suffer this problem produce very fluent speech, but it don't have sense. Comprehension is much better than the production of the language. Conduction aphasia is a problem with the damage with the arcuate fasciculus. Patients that suffer this illness or this disorder don't pronounce some words, but typically don't have articulation problems. They are fluent, but maybe disrupts the rhythm because of pauses, because of pauses and hesitations. So we finish with our explanation. Thanks for hearing.